All right, I'm terribly sick. I'm sure you guys can hear it, but I want to check the patch notes out. We're gonna basically test everything from top to bottom that they listed. Okay, so let's start from the top, chat. They reworked reloading mechanics to be physics-based and more realistic. AK mags require you to insert the mag at an angle and rock it in. You can no longer insert mags at too great of an angle relative to the mag well, which on paper, I think that sounds fine. And what that means in layman's terms is if you have a mag and let's say you were kind of close when you stuffed it in, it would still kind of work, you know? And even here, it feels pretty forgiving. Ooh, that feels nice though. So you have to actually be accurate, more accurate to where you're putting the mag in for it to work. And this is pretty forgiving. Like, look, I'm like halfway out and it's still going in. Okay, that feels good. But let's check out the AK, because the AK was the most prominent change. AK mags are angled, so they're supposed to be designed to go in the way they described in the patch notes. So you need to rock it forward to pull the mag out. Like, you can't just pull it straight down, right? It's how it's designed. You can see it in the clip here. You can see this back little clip. You see how this side of the mag has that little notch sticking out, whereas this front doesn't? So AK mags in real life, you need to kind of put the front in, and then you rock it back in. And same when you pull it out. And look, okay, if you're struggling with it, you just need to practice it, and you'll get it smoothly. It's pretty natural for me, because, you know, I understand AK mags, IRL, so it makes sense. But for you, you're probably like slamming it straight in and or trying to pull it straight out back at an angle this way and it's not working, but just know that you need to rock it. Look, it's fine. That works really nicely, actually. I think that's good. And the reason that's so important, especially with the AK mag slap, is because in order to slap the mag out, you're not really slapping the side. You're pushing it forward so it rocks out in the way that I was describing, right? So I should, and I haven't tried this until now, but I should be able to push this bottom forward out this way with a bit of force, and it'll come right out. So that works much better than before. Perfect. That works really well. All right, that actually feels super good. It's very consistent. Oh, that feels good. That's a really good, chat. Okay, props. I like that a lot. They added a new gun in game, but from what I've gathered, you can't purchase it at all because they forgot to add in, you know, the requirements to buy it. Even if you're a trader level 5, you can't buy it, but it might still drop in game, so we might be able to see that gun in crates and things like that until they add the proper trader level to actually purchase it. New anti-cheat prevention measures. I saw a little bit of taste of this. Basically, you're gonna get some warnings and notifications that like if you're out of bounds or doing weird stuff. Where did this whiteboard come from? This is kind of cool. Cool. We have a whiteboard. Can I not actually grab the eraser? How do you erase? Okay, so you can write, but you can't erase. They added plastic bottles, canteens, and thermos water sources. Cool. So I don't have them unlocked, so I'll have to find them. But we just have more sources for water, which is going to be a predecessor and very important for when we unlock the farming and the growing mechanics, because you're going to have to water these plants with water that you find and bring out of raid. So water is going to be incredibly important. When they do wipe, you're going to want to actually bring water out. It's a lot more valuable. Right now, you see me leave water behind all the time because there's not much of a use for it. I stay on top of my water just fine, but having enough water to water your crops and keep them healthy and growing is going to be super important. So just more avenues and containers to do that. So that's cool. Improved gripping bolts on sniper rifles. I never really had an issue with it before, but let's feel it. I mean, it feels solid. Improved performance by reducing the cost of trees and breakable glass. They had a big, like, draw in performance and power when dealing with glass, both broken and unbroken, and it was making a lot of Quest users in particular lag, and people with lower end PCs. Okay, that's not breakable glass. But overall, we should see some nice frame improvements from that, as well as trees in the distance. So it's just overall optimization improvements, so that's good. They improved safe house item loading performance. Okay, so I noticed this. I noticed all the time, and maybe you guys have as well, but when you opened your door to your armory, the whole game would like hard freeze for like half a second as you opened the door. So that's where they're hoping that they made some improvements, and so far, a lot less stutter. And the improved item loading should help with any disappearing items as well, even though that's been way less common. Improved trigger responsiveness on lids. Lids were kind of awkward before. Sometimes you couldn't pull them off, sometimes it would just like crank off to the side. So now lids overall should just open and not bug out as often as they did before. Grenade pin pulling is supposed to be better. We've talked about this a lot, and we've seen it firsthand when we were sitting down and watching Scope OG try and kill me in the elevator. But they claim the pins, well, this pin's missing because they're all right there. They claim that the pins are easier to pull. This pin is completely gone. Oh, I could still pull it though. I hit myself in the face. I didn't have much of a problem pulling pins on grenades, so I can't really speak on this, but I know a lot of Quest users and other people were having problems with it. But the grenade is pulling out. Even if you don't see a pin, get your hand close. You see how you see that T? And you can pull that invisible pin out, pull the trigger to start it, give a little toss, and everything should be fine. They improved AI behavior. We're gonna have to check that one out in-game because it's a very generic statement. I don't know what exactly they improved, but we'll see. Improved water bottles with visible water line. Oh, you can see the water inside. And it looks like you can drink the water from a lot farther away. You don't have to tilt it as much, so just kind of like push it close to your face and it'll drink it. So we can actually see how full the water is. That's nice. Improved favorites list. Oh, yes! This is huge, chat. You remember how I'd always like try and click as many times as I can to buy multiple things? Well, now we actually have a quantity. Oh my god, that's such a big quality of life thing. So we don't have to spam, click the buy button, wait for it to refresh, and then buy more. We can just pick the amount that we want and call it a day. It's possible that the list is longer as well. It looks like they made the font smaller here so we can fit more on the screen. That's a huge improvement. Glad to see that. Very glad to see that. Improved performance of small gun components. These are just like tiny parts of guns. Okay, different things that you're gonna see, and it's just overall probably performance for frame rate, so this should help a lot with our frames per second, especially for those people that are on standalone Quest. So hopefully you guys will see a little bit more frames boosted, especially when you're carrying or you're with friends that have a gun on their backpack, they have a gun on their chest, they have a gun in their pistol pouch, they have two guns in their hands, right? And you're having to render all of that as well as you carrying a bunch of guns. They fixed inconsistencies with the AK mag slapped. We tested that all out already and it feels so much better. So yes, that's good. They fixed various bugs with the helmet attachments such as night vision goggles. Now, I'm assuming what they mean by this is everybody knows and everybody has seen when you killed somebody that had night vision goggles, the helmet would fucking spin around like crazy when you'd pick it up. I'm assuming they mean they fixed that. We'll have to see for sure over time. They fixed character footstep sounds not being played at the correct position when you're using room scale. What this means is the footstep sounds would typically just be played wherever the center of the room scale was or wherever you recentered yourself. But if I move over here without using the control stick and I run, the footsteps would be playing over there where I was standing last, rather than where I actually am in room scale. So that's good. They fixed nerds going into the knife pouch, so we're gonna have to test this out. Oh no, it doesn't work. Is it supposed to work? I don't know what fix means. Does fix mean make it not work? Maybe people were still able to do it and I didn't want them to be able to do it. Fixed backpack physics issue. Okay, so we're gonna have to see this over time, but what they're hinting at and meaning is we should see less of this like spinning, flying backpacks when we pick up stuff from other players, or we put a bunch of stuff in our own bags and it starts behaving weird and flying around and doing weird stuff, which is much needed. It's gotten a lot better, but we still see remnants of it. So good. I hope that's actually the case. They fixed the vector irons not folding down. Some people were dealing with issues with the vector where the back iron sights weren't folding down when you'd put a sight on it. So that shouldn't be happening anymore. They fixed the elevator door spam grab exploit. This is where you would grip a ton and really quickly, and it would super fast open the door without making much noise. I think that's good. It should be that way because it's intended to make a bunch of noise when you open the door, and it's supposed to be a slow, intentional open. Fixed potentially. Some Quest users were getting this error that you see here and crashing. So let's hope they did. I know a lot of Quest users have been dealing with lots of crashes, and this one was a pretty prominent one. I'm hoping for all you Quest users that you see this less often, but they put the words potentially because they're unsure if they actually nailed it or not, but they're giving it a try. Next on the list is they fixed an issue where entering a raid and checking your mag will cause it to lose ammo. I haven't experienced this myself, but I'm guessing it has something to do with you'd hit deploy and then you'd check your mags, pull them out, look through them, maybe give them a shake and put them in, and it would delete some ammo. So that shouldn't happen anymore. They fixed drawers in the armory stretching things. I stopped using drawers a long time ago, but I did experience the stretching issue in the past. I was able to turn one of these into a very flat and weird stretched out item that was not proportional at all to what it should have been. And they fixed the gun wall visualizer issues. Seeing the item on the wall and placing it was awkward. It seems like it's working really well from far away though. So placing items on the gun wall should be a lot easier. Wow, it's actually so good. What the heck? You remember how much I would fucking swear and get mad at the game because I couldn't put an item on the wall well? Look at how good it is. It would disappear all the time and it wouldn't go on the wall. Wow, that's a lot better. I'm gonna grab 2 items and see how it works with 2. Yeah, whichever one's forward most. Wow. That's a huge improvement, chat. They fixed the vector buttstock issue. You know what? I do remember this. I remember this used to be cut off and you could see through it. So the buttstock visually was just like not there before. They fixed stamina not regenerating when walking, but I've always had max stamina. It's been for a couple patches now where stamina just was not going down at all. So I hope they finally fix that because look, I know a lot of people have gotten used to having infinite stamina, but it's not intentional. You're supposed to get out of breath and be tired and not be able to sprint around everywhere, because that's the whole point of energy drinks and energy chews, is to replenish those things so you can move around if you're more prepared and bring those things into raid. They fixed inconsistency with heartbeat sounds when under 25 health. They fixed hunger sounds playing in between the ears instead of the belly. So what that just means is like, it sounds like it's right in between your ears where the sound's happening. But for spatial audio, you should be hearing your stomach rumbling down here, right? So the sound is just coming from the proper area now. And because of that, it's probably not as obscenely loud as it was before for you, the player. They fixed the ability to claim multiple rations at once. Some people were able to kind of claim the rations in a very specific way, and I'll show you what those are, to where they wouldn't get only just one as intended. They would be able to claim it a ton of times and get multiple out of it. That doesn't happen anymore. So for instance, me spam clicking that a bunch of times or other methods would multiply the amount of rations that I would get, and that is now fixed, so that's good. Fixed the crash when raid time was over. I never experienced this because I've never ran out of time on raid. If the raid timer went to 0 on your watch and you were still in raid, you're considered MIA. You basically just go back to the bunker as if you had died, but a lot of people were crashing hard when that happened. They'd have to relaunch the game, and that should be now fixed. Okay, this is a funny one here. So they fixed taking damage dying if you were jumping around 15 seconds after spawning. So there's a lot of players that are very tweaky. I'm pretty tweaky myself, meaning like I move around a lot, but they jump a lot, okay, when they run around. So they'd spawn in raid, and around the 15-second mark, if they were jumping, for whatever reason, you would take lethal fall damage and die. So that should be fixed and addressed. Oh no, did I get banned? Did you guys see the messages when I was AFK? So that's something we should actually talk about too. Were you guys seeing the error message when I put my headset down though, where it said I was exploiting? Yeah, so let's talk about that, chat. People who are putting their headset down and walking away from it, they're getting that error message a ton. Where it's saying, hey, you're doing exploit stuff, and you know, action's gonna be taken against you. I'm near positive this is just a message to scare people into thinking like, okay, I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing and I'm gonna get in trouble for it. But we're getting it's what's called false positives, okay? It's claiming that that's happening. We're getting that error message even though we're doing nothing wrong, right? I just put my headset down, I went and fixed one of my lighthouses that helps with tracking, and we see that error message pop up a bunch of times. So if you see that yourself, don't worry, you should be fine. As you can see, it just happened to me. I have all my stuff still, nothing's wrong. Don't stress and worry if you see that. You're okay. They fixed a gun wall issue where pistols would give an error. I haven't experienced this myself, but if you had the issue in the past, it should be gone. This is it. What we've all been waiting for. They fixed the ceiling exploits on Missile Silo. This is where you were able to climb up the ladder backwards around the backside of the wall, get your head and body completely out of the map through the ceiling, and be a douchebag and shoot everybody because you can see through walls now and have wall hacks up there. So I'm very glad that that's been addressed. They did it quickly. I know it might seem like a long time for you guys, but as soon as they were aware of it, they had the fix out within a week. So big ups, big props. We shouldn't see any of that anymore in the current state. Of course, given time, people are going to probably find something else, but it at least buys us time before they do and before it gets publicly known, and then we see a patch for that one as well. So this is just the curse of being in early beta in a game. People are going to find ways to break it. There's always going to be a percentage of people that like doing harmful things to the player base for their own personal selfish gain. And we will be notified of that, and the devs will be notified of it, and it will get patched out. It's just one of these tug-of-war games that every single game goes through in its development. So, good. I'm glad they fixed that. They fixed penetration on some metal fences. This is just going to require some testing since they're not specifying what metal fence is, but you've seen in some of my past gameplay and videos where I would be shooting at, there's a very specific area. There's that prison tower that's in the middle of military base on Silo. There's that balcony on the second floor that's very open that a scav likes to path and patrol around, and when you're far away you can't see a chain link fence about this high going around the perimeter, and when you shoot into that in the past, the bullets would never go through. My bullets would just get eaten by that fence I couldn't see. I'm guessing they are allowing for penetration now, so keep an eye out for that. Let me know what you've found out in the comments below. Let me know what walls you've been able to penetrate, or fences you've been able to penetrate that you couldn't before, or vice versa. So test those things out and let us know. Swammy's asking a very controversial question, which I will answer. Swammy says, what do you think about all the TikTokers that make videos about exploits? Okay, look, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, you can throw it in the garbage, it doesn't mean everybody has to agree with me, but I think that it's a really scummy and selfish thing to do for personal gain, because Posting exploits or things that allow you to do cheaty things in video games get a ton of views, okay? Little kids and scummy people love doing that stuff to give themselves an edge, so it's a really easy way to just boost your follow count, boost your view count, and boost your exposure, right? But the aftermath of said things... Look, if you care about the game that you're playing and making videos on, I care about Ghosts of Tabor, you're actually hurting the game drastically because you're making it much more well-known for these exploits to be performed and done, so the frequency of those things happen much, much more. So the players that actually want to play the game and enjoy it normally are getting punished and dissuaded and are choosing not to play anymore because it's becoming so popular for people to cheat and do these exploits. And that's very damaging to the reputation and future development of the game that we're talking about, in this case Ghosts of Tabor. So it has these drastic negative effects that I think those people should be aware of, and it feels look, people aren't gonna like this, but it's so selfish, right? Because they're doing it to boost their views and all those things that I said earlier. It's an easy way to get a bunch of views. And I just think that's scummy. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but that's what I think. You should instead, when you find out exploits and things like that, instead of posting them publicly, send them directly to the devs so that they can address it, because the less people that know about it, the less damage those things will cause, right? But I'm gonna get off my soapbox and we'll move on to the next thing. So they fixed the ladder exploit at the ceiling near elevator door. So they have two descriptions here where they were ceiling exploits. We know the ladder one. I'm not sure what they mean by the other one, but overall, they're just doubling down that they fixed ceiling exploits, okay? So that's a good thing. Purple keycard rooms now require an orange keycard instead. This is a fantastic way to render all of the duped purple keycards useless. These are non-duped card, and I did have a lot of legit cards here, but now they're all useless, which I think is fine. It's a great way to just be like, hey, now instead the vault door takes the orange card, so there's a new item that's dropping in, so we've removed all of the duped purple key cards from circulation. You can sell these cards, but they sell for $0, and it basically just deletes them. So it's just a good way to reset the economy for vault key cards. Now key cards will actually feel valuable again, and you're going to see them much rarer than when everybody was duping them. And switching the color of the key card prevented them from having to do the backpack wipe that they were talking about before. The only reason they were going to wipe the backpacks is because apparently you could not store key cards on your benches or anywhere else. They would get deleted when you came back, if you quit the game and came back. So the only place to actually save your key card was backpacks. So instead of doing that and forcing everybody to empty their bags, they just changed the key card necessary to open those. Very, very good thing. I'm very glad that they did that. So they disabled selling purple key cards. I talked about this a little bit before. They will be deleted instead when you try and sell them. That way people still can't profit from the piles of duped key cards they had. That's very good. They removed the Founding Father DLC on meta platforms unless you already owned it. And from what I could gather, the Founding Father is exactly as the name implies. You're an early adopter of the game, so if you happen to purchase it in that early time window, then you get access to those benefits, and since the game is aging and getting older, those benefits aren't going to continue to be available for purchase. It was just that early time window that you had an opportunity to get that, which gives you access to starting off at, trader level 2 and getting extra money when you start each wipe, as well as a handful of gear in comparison to the base game. They had one thing listed as known issues, that you were unable to sell new items from the conveyor belt. And so all these new items should be the new gun, but that might not even be included because they only notated the new water bottles and things like that. So if you bring those items out of raid, the canteens, the thermos, things of that nature, they don't currently have the value to sell them programmed in yet, so they're just not going to be worth anything to sell. So just put them aside or don't bring them out unless you like collecting them, and then you can put them on the shelf. And that brings us to a close of all the patch notes. We went through them from top to bottom. I am incredibly excited and happy that this patch has released, and it is, look at it, it's a massive list of things that they adjusted and fixed, and everything I've gone through felt good so far. Now, here's the other thing. Always with new patches, there's going to be new bugs, okay? It's just how it goes. So let's do a few raids, and we'll see if we notice anything out of place, if things feel weird, if things are buggy. Now, with any sort of good testing, the more raids you have, the larger your sample sizes of data, the more accurate our findings will be. So we're gonna know more over the days and weeks that come what these bugs are and what to watch out for. But let's see if anything present themselves to us right away.
Thank you all for watching. If you feel the video deserves it, give it a like, consider subscribing. It means a lot for my small channel. Also, I do a lot of live streaming on twitch.tv. The link will be in the description below. That's all for today. Expect more Ghosts of Tabor content. And until then, I'll see you in the field.